What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today is the day we are going to take advantage of this thing being down. I want to install my gauge setup, finally. It's been sitting over here for way too long, and I need to get it in. So, jumping right into it, what we have, we went with an Isspro 30-pound fuel pressure gauge. This is going to be our supply pressure to the CP3. And with that, from Geno's, we got this srt10 factory pillar mount, single gauge. This is an actual Mopar part. It's not an aftermarket part. You keep your grab handle and you get your single mount. Same, this came out of the srt10 truck. Anyway, and then we got this T. This came from Geno's as well. This is going to tee into our supply line, which you'll see in a minute. But this guy, this is what I'm really excited for. I've always wanted an analog gauge setup. And with the CTS3, it does so much that you really don't need analog gauges. Well, I've wanted to watch supply pressure to my CP3 for a long time. Yeah, it's a good thing to watch, in my opinion. Especially with that bigger pump, I don't know what that AirDog is doing. I need to get that thing set right. And there's a few other reasons. I mean, you could see a lot of what's going on with your truck. And it's a nice gauge. It really is. Isspro is really top quality stuff. So this is the gauge. And when I called Isspro, I didn't just go through the website. I actually called them. And I talked to them and I told them exactly what I wanted, down to the ring, everything about it. They helped me find the exact part number for what I wanted. The only, I'm not going to say bad thing, but the only downfall about this thing is I changed my instrument panel lights from this green color to purple. This gauge is still going to be green, which is unfortunate, but it's no big deal. It's not going to kill the deal at all. So, when you order these kits, you get all the wiring, all the necessary wiring, your inline fuse for your feed, you get your sensor, this is your plug, and here you have instructions in the installation tool, wiring tool, this is your power ground and dimmer wire. They gave you plenty of wire to do anything like that, and they gave you a really long, really nice harness connector. This is going to be for your sensor. So when you're putting your sensor into your T, if you're going to go this route, always, it's pipe thread. So always put some sort of thread tape on that. I have this thread tape that's older than the Arc, but it's going to do just fine because it's nice thick stuff. So I am just going to put a wrap on that, like so. Make sure you don't get any of this thread tape in line of the sensor, and you really want to make sure it's not going to be inside of your T either. Last thing you want is a chunk of this stuff going into your pump. So you're going to thread that in there. Find a wrench, 17 millimeter in our case, with the Isspro sensor. Tighten it up. Now we don't need to kill it. We don't want to leave it loose either. Last thing you want to do is snap this thing off. We're getting closer on the wiring. I took a minute, and this actually took a minute. I thought I had it up here. So I have this harness that goes up, and that goes to the center, right? So I thought I could get everything out of this and make it super simple. Well, turns out I was spinning my wheels with this one. It wasn't quite making sense on how everything worked. So I figured I'd just come down here, right? So this was actually tied up. This is either for an option I don't have, or I don't know what the hell it's for, to be honest with you. But it was tied up back there, nice, nothing going to it, nothing using it. So I went and I found this orange and pink right here on this particular connector. This was 12 volt ignition. Okay, key on, 12 volt. This was ground, and for the dimmer, I just went to the back of the headlight switch. I took my test light, was very careful, figured out that this orange with black, second one in, is my dimmer wire. So I know you guys are going to beat me up. Solder. Everybody's into soldering. Well, these heat shrink butt connectors are just fine. So I need to go through and shrink them. Take a little bit of heat and they'll suck right down. There's actually glue inside these connectors, so it actually helps to hold the wire in the connector. These I'm not afraid to use, so I'm going to get these shrunk. We also took the wiring from the gauges. This is what comes in the kit. I twisted it. The way you twist it, it's really simple. Hold one end, put the other end in a drill, and just twist it. And it helps to keep them together, keeps them nice and clean. Obviously this is way too long, so I'm going to shorten that up. So the next part of this project is putting the sensor and the fuel line itself. This truck running an AirDog 4G 165 lift pump, half-inch line all the way up to CP3. And I'm not gonna lie about this, every time I open this hood I cringe. This whole area needs attention. We got the feed line off, we got it out. Now don't beat me up too bad about this, but what we're gonna do with this pickup is we're going to put it right up close to the CP3, and there's two reasons for that. First main reason is I want a good reading. Okay, I know I can get a good reading all through the fuel system, but I'm going to put this up here for that reason. Also, second reason, when we go in to clean everything up on this side of the engine, we're going to do a lot of rewiring, we're going to freshen a lot of things up, and hopefully at the same time we're going to be installing some new parts. And one of those parts I want to install is an actual distribution block instead of the fleece factory fuel filter delete, because down the road, if there is a possibility of running a second CP3 on top of this 10 mil, not saying we're going to need that, but there is a possibility, we're going to want a distribution block. We're going to want a distribution block to keep things clean, keep both pumps fed, you know, the whole nine. So we want as much hose available as possible, so that when that day comes, we don't have to run a whole new line back to the pump, because I am not going to start putting spices in this fuel line. So that's number two reason why we're gonna slam it there for now, and we'll probably point it down. And wiring's gross. I mean, I can't sugarcoat that for you guys. So rather than using the right tool, we got a razor knife, and we are just going to cut my fuel line like so. Install said barb thingy on both ends. Actually, let's do this. We screwed ourselves. That's okay. What's new, right? Put this one on first. On she goes. Now, being air equip or quick connect or whatever we want to call this stuff, that shouldn't leak. But since they were confident enough to send me hose clamps, I think we'll use them. A lot of times these hose clamps are, you can snug them down with an 8mm socket. Don't over tighten them. You don't want to strip your hose clamp. This is going to be ugly for a while, but what do you do, really? So now we need to feed this back in there. Get it in there. Oh. Go up here to the cringy side of the situation. Like, look at this wiring. A lot of this isn't even being used anymore. It's cleaned up so bad. Fuel line, quick connect, boom, done. That's in, plugged done, boom. I will put a zip tie on those. Oops, you can't even see what I'm doing. I'll put a zip tie on these, keep them together, and we're gonna run our wiring into the cab. Use wiring conduit. There's no point in doing a job like this if you're not going to protect those wires. Either put them in their own conduit, or if you can tie into another one under there, under the hood, do it. But take care of your wires. So to make heads or tails of the install, if you've ever installed one of these or you're thinking about it, so this is your gauge. This is the face of the gauge. You're going to turn it right around. See on the label, there's a number 2. That's what I am referencing for number 6. Pin number 6, pin number 1. Okay, now the install clip. This is your plug. Your tabs go up like that. That's how it's going to go. Again, this being 6 and this being 1. So when they give you this install tool, there's a solid end, and that corresponds with number 6. We do not want to get that mixed up. So 6 goes to 6, and it's going to go like that. So when you're feeding your wires into your installer, which is what we need to do now before we actually put them into the plug, we know that this is 6 and this is 1. We're going to take and start with our sensor wires. Hopefully you guys can see that from there. I really don't have a better place to put you. We're going to put number black. Okay, black from the, not number black. Black from the sensor is going to be 6. Green from the sensor is going to be 5. The red and yellow is going to be 4. That's your 5 volt reference. Next is the 3 wires that you ran for your power, ground, and dimmer. And that is going to go black, ground, and 3. I'm sorry, 3. Orange, which is your dimmer, going to go to 2. Red is going to go to number 1. That is your ignition voltage. Now, I'm probably not doing a very good job of letting you guys see what's going on here, but I'm kind of in a precarious spot. So we're going to feed our sensor connector into that. Oops, like that, yeah. And I'm going to get some pliers so I can poke that together, because I can't do it by hand. You're not supposed to do it by hand anyways. You want to get some pliers, and you want to, use adjustable pliers or a nice set of pliers, and you want to set them up so you're not putting an angled downward pressure on the wires. What you're basically doing is you're working together a big Scotch lock. So this is what the connector should look like with the installer. Mind you, we're still on the installer portion. It is down all the way. The wires are fully seated in there. So now we should be able to take our installer off. And yes, see, all of our wires are in. Now once you're to this step, once you have your wires down, you've used your installer, wires are all seated, they're all trimmed nice. Once you got that done, you take this white cover that neatly slides onto the back here, like so. That protects your wiring, makes it look all professional and such. Take your gauge. Actually, I never even tested this gauge. We're gonna connect the gauge like so. We're gonna slide the gauge in the pod, and that is, well, she doesn't fit nice and tight like I've seen, but that's not the gauge. That's not the gauge's fault. It's this thing. So let's do a little dirty trick and wrap this in tape until it fits nice and snug. Kind of a dirty little trick, but hey, you know what? If it works, it's not dumb. All right, now we have a nice snug fit. It's not gonna rattle, it's not gonna do all that fun stuff. So why did I use Scotch tape over electrical tape or any other tape? Well, my experience with electrical tape is over time it gets gummy and it starts doing some weird things, and it would loosen up. Scotch tape, as hokey as it sounds, that tape will stay there and it'll keep it snug. It's not gonna vibrate, it's not gonna loosen up on me, any of that stuff. So we have 2 more things left to do. One thing we have to do is install these back in the majigger. And the other thing we have to do, since we ran this up here, I want to actually put my CTS3 up here kind of out of sight, you know, behind the tent. I think this guy right here is something I'm going to have to play with. If I can get it snuck back there kind of tight and out of the way, I'd like that. But this is your main attraction here. Let's see if it works. So, get the key. Moment of truth. Let's see here. Yep. Now, I don't know if you saw that when we started up, but there is actually a warning light down here. It'll turn red once your pressure drops. So guys, I think that's that. It works. Short of a couple things I want to clean up, that's in. I'm really excited to give that a go. Now, I'm not going to start the truck up because one of two reasons. One, the transmission's on it. That doesn't matter. It will start, but the only thing I don't want to do is I don't want to start pumping the clutch with the slave cylinder out of the transmission. I don't want to screw that up. I'm kind of hoping I can just slam that one back in there and call it good. I know I should replace it. I know I should, and it might bite me in the ass, but I'm not until I have to, because it's not that old. So I hope you guys found that a little useful. Kind of a learn as you go kind of situation. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. Hope you liked it, and thank you for watching. So with that being said, we will see you guys on the next one. We are getting closer to getting transmission back. We are actually getting really close to getting a clutch in hand. There's a lot of things that are going to kind of come full circle on this pretty soon. So hopefully we can get it done before June 5th and 6th, Isspro Diesel Fest. I missed, well, I really didn't plan on going, but I missed the event down in Sacramento, Golden State Diesel Fest, I think is what they called it. I didn't make that. Turns out that was a really good one I shouldn't have missed. So I'm not missing Siskiyou. Missed it last year because of everything going on, just like everybody else. But anyway, we're not going to let that slow us down. We are going, I'm still calling it 4 years in a row because last year was an exception. We will be there. So hope to see you guys there. Hope you're following along. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. I think everything's covered. Have a good day.